Ben, I got to ask you a question. Elrond is clearly a competitor. You're in top 50 market caps. You're as big and as capable of some of these layer one solutions that I mentioned earlier. And yet, Ben, you don't have a fancy PhD from a Western institution. You're in a smaller city in Romania, and yet you guys are building incredible tech. How did you do this?
This is a very good question. We've essentially started from a standpoint of identifying after, let's say, I've been in the space for a very long time. I've initially invested in a lot of the architectures that I thought would solve some of these problems. And then after about 1.5 years of noticing and observing and discussing with some of the founders and so forth, that they were not going to solve the fundamental problem, but only create incremental solutions. And discussing with them repeatedly, we've essentially built a team with which we can build rockets, literally, and started working on Elrond. So this is, I believe, the fundamental thing about the internet. Without the internet, I'm convinced we would not be here and would not have a conversation nowhere near this point, because precisely when I understood that the internet would enable me to learn absolutely anything, as long as I discover who are the most important people in different fields, then I don't need to wait for 5 years to go through the entire process and so forth. I can basically discover who it is today that most of the people have not discovered yet, that most of the people have not acknowledged yet, that the books about these people have not been written yet. And if I can discover this type of people, then essentially I can live a different world, a different life, and contribute to the world in a very, very different way. And so this is how we started Elrond, and this is how we built a team with which we can beat almost any other team if they don't want to join us. So I'm actually quite intrigued how this type of things become a huge, let's say, obstacle at first, because of course you don't have all the opportunities, all the connections, all the stuff that you would in Silicon Valley, but then they become the highest strengths once you're past the point, because everyone, literally everyone, wants to join the team. Everyone wants to work on this super meaningful and impactful thing that's frankly not been happening too much in Europe, and most of the times in other parts of the world. So we're at the point where a lot of people are looking at Elrond. A lot of super smart people are contributing and putting a lot of effort into Elrond. And I do believe that this is enough. I mean, if you have a group of people that are willing to live and die for something and put their lives into it, there's no limit to what they can achieve.
You have a lot of confidence. It sounds like you built that team over 4 years and a lot of struggle.
You could not imagine how painful some things have been, but also the rewards that you discover with building such a team, with going through all these challenges and then making it all the way through the next day. That's something that can literally never taken from you. That can never be taken for you.
What was the hardest moment?
I mean, we basically had super hard moments every year. And every step of the way, but there were a few, and I expect there will be in the future some as well, where we've literally had to reinvent ourselves completely. I mean, going even from there were several moments like going from the prototype to the testnet. We've proved some things. The technology worked, the ideas were sound, but the way we've built them sucked. It was awful and a lot of obstacles and so forth. So what we've had to do is not only rebuild everything from scratch, but rebuild it in a new language that no one has written code in. And so, of course, there's always a limit to how far you can stretch things. But this goes to the point of why we've chosen specific people to join the team. Why there are some people that can learn with a speed that like almost anyone else could not. And this is why they could replicate what they've been able to do in some other fields and so forth. They have PhDs in computer science and top engineers and so forth. But to be able to replicate your achievements, your proficiency from one field into another in a record time, that speaks a lot more than a particular degree, because this is the world we're living in, right? If you can learn something, start from scratch and learn it today faster than anyone else, and then set new records, set new standards, and deliver new products for the people, there's literally no limit to what you can do.
And have you also had challenges with capital markets, with prices of tokens, et cetera?
100%. Like it's always a journey. I mean, to build a company in the Web3 space, to build a blockchain network is something that, I mean, there are no books written as to how it can be done. There are many challenges with like having this super fast IPOs. Like this would be the experience, and then educating people, because most of the people have not participated into things like this. They're super short-term orientated and so forth. But it has been one hell of a ride. We built one of the most passionate and hardcore communities in the space. We've worked day and night to push this out, and it's always a new challenge we're taking each new day. But we do believe that fundamentally this has the power to change things in such a way that this could become the largest GDP multiplier of the world economy, if it succeeds at the scale that we've described before.